I'm from California, and in the Golden State, we had the highest retail prices for gasoline of any state in the union, save occasionally Hawaii. We are consistently higher than any other state, often exceeding the national average by more than $1 a gallon. So I wanted to know why this was the case, and here's the research that I did, and it costs you nothing right now. Just give this video a thumbs up if you like the content at all, and feel free to subscribe and leave a comment below. So there are several factors that are contributing to this really high price, including state taxes and fees, environmental requirements, and then there are the special fuel requirements and the fact that California is actually a very isolated petroleum market. So these are the components that go into retail gasoline prices. 1, taxes and fees. 2, distribution and marketing. 3, refining costs. And 4, the main component are the crude oil prices that fluctuate up and down with the price of international oil. So drivers in California, we pay, or I formerly paid, the highest taxes at the pump. Taxes that are equivalent to 90 cents per gallon. But then this is between local, state, and federal, and this is as of March of 2025. So federal taxes, which are the same for every single state out in the union, they account for 18 cents of the 90 cents per gallon in taxes. Now, the other 72 cents are made up of the state excise tax, which is 60 cents a gallon, the state sales tax, 10 cents a gallon, and then the underground storage tank fees, 2 cents a gallon. California's state gasoline excise tax is the highest in the United States. The average across all states, by the way, is 28 cents a gallon. So in addition to all the state taxes, the California Energy Commission estimates that environmental compliance costs add as much as 54 cents a gallon as of March 2025. The state's cap and trade program and low carbon fuel standard reflect costs associated with fuel supplier emissions and carbon intensity. And these costs are ultimately reflected in the price consumers pay at the pump. So in addition to this, there are the special fuel requirements. California also mandates a very special blend of gasoline designed to reduce pollution and improve air quality. This can be very good, but the question is, what is the trade-off for the marginal benefit? So this fuel burns cleaner, but it is actually more expensive to produce because it requires more processing steps and expensive blending components. Refiners outside the state only make this blend to supply California's market, meaning that California primarily relies on in-state refineries for its gasoline supply. Worst of all, for refineries like Valero, they are threatening to leave the state right now because the state and Gavin Newsom and the Democrat supermajority make it so difficult for them. In addition to this, California is a very isolated petroleum market. So there are supply side issues that also contribute to California's gasoline prices relative to the rest of the country. So most of the gasoline consumed in California is refined within the state, as I mentioned, due to a lack of petroleum infrastructure connections. California being geographically isolated from other U.S. refining centers, this is partly because there are no pipelines that are supplying California from across the Rocky Mountains, and only a limited number of pipelines deliver to the West Coast from the Gulf Coast. Of the refineries outside of California with physical access to the state's gasoline markets, only a few can meet California's stringent fuel blending requirements. California also imports gasoline from other countries such as India and South Korea. And by the way, India receives some of its crude from Russia, who we still have sanctions on. So you can bet that part of California's consumption is of Russian oil. And they do this to meet the fuel supply needs of the state, of course. Other countries produce California's specification gasoline, but very high shipping costs limit imports to periods of refinery outages or the summer driving season when demand is higher and thus elevate the prices, making it economically viable to ship that fuel with that standard here. In addition, West Coast refineries have historically maintained lower inventory levels compared with the US average, and California refineries have been closing, with more closures on the horizon. All of these supply chain issues mean that California's gasoline prices are more volatile and subject to large spikes, especially if any of the limited number of refineries go offline for maintenance or have an unexpected outage. So once again, as I stated, this might get worse for Californians because of the horrendous business environment that the state lawmakers, the Democrats, are creating for Valero, which is one of the big refineries that are still within the state. And if they leave, if they make it so untenable that they go, then you can look for California prices to spike even more. So guys, as I said, if you got something out of it, please leave a thumb up, a comment with your thoughts. And if you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. Love to have you here. Talk to you soon.